On this week's episode of Whether or Not, we have Debicki at the weather desk with your weekend forecast, another Drew Narsutis feature on our great state, and of course, some nature in the news. Whether or Not starts right now. Well, welcome to this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Rodden.
And I'm your forecaster, Debicki.
Well, I was walking to class earlier this week, and I'm putting on my jacket and my boots in the morning, but by noon and afternoon hours, I want to shed all those layers. It's so hot out there.
Yeah, people were not expecting such a warm spell this late in the season. It is exceptionally warm for this November, but we're going to start to see a trend over the course of this weekend.
So you think it's fair to say I can put my flip-flops away?
Yes, but I do have more details coming up in my forecast.
Well, thanks, Allie. But now it's time for Nature in the News.
For most of the people living in the United States, this Sunday marks the end of daylight saving time. You've probably heard the mnemonic, spring forward and fall back. But do you know why we have this adjusted summer schedule? Due to the tilt in Earth's axis, summer days have more hours of sunlight than the days in the winter. As the sun creeps up over the horizon earlier and earlier in the day, we end up with lots of sun in the early morning hours when much of the population is still asleep. The idea of daylight saving time is to shift the clocks an hour earlier so that the extra daylight instead occurs at the end of the day when people are awake and out and about. This avoids wasted daylight in the wee hours of the morning.
Climate change means that trees germinating today will be living in a much altered climate by the time they reach middle age. The expected changes are likely to hit them hard and threaten key forest functions in the decades ahead. However, appropriate management shall enable to increase the forest habitat's adaptability. This is shown by the results of the Forest and Climate Change Research Program conducted by the Swiss Federal Office for Environment and the Swiss Federal Institute for Forest, Snow and Landscape Research since 2009. Climate change is happening so quickly that the question mark hangs over whether forests can adapt accordingly without human interference and can continue to perform their various functions such as timber production, protection against natural hazards, and providing a recreational space for the public.
The World Wildlife Fund states that global populations of wildlife has declined by 58% between the years 1970 and 2012. These animals living in the world's lakes, rivers, and freshwater systems are experiencing the most dramatic population declines. The top threat to wildlife is habitat loss and degradation, driven primarily by increasing demand for food and energy. According to the report, global food production is the leading cause of destruction of habitats and overexploitation of wildlife. Agriculture currently occupies approximately 1/3 of Earth's total land area and accounts for 70% of all freshwater use. Humans must rethink how they produce, consume, and measure success and value of the natural environment. There is an urgent need to modify the impact of these habitats through system change by individuals, businesses, and governments in the upcoming years to ensure thriving populations of wildlife.
A public screening of the Leonardo DiCaprio and Fisher Stevens film Before the Flood was displayed Wednesday evening in the Debicki building on Penn State's campus. The National Geographic movie highlights climate change's impacts across the globe, featuring coal-burning plants in China, forest degradation in Indonesia, massive rainfall events in India, and melting glaciers in the Arctic. The movie suggests a carbon tax to be in place and that the Paris agreements back in 2015 is a mere stepping stone in the process of mitigating the impacts of human-induced climate change. Following the screening was a panel discussion moderated by Michael Mann, a professor of atmospheric science, along with David Titley, director of the Center of Solutions to Weather and Climate Risk, Richard Alley, an Evan Pugh professor of geosciences, and many other distinguished professors in the College of Earth and Mineral Science. Topics of national security in the movie was commented on by Professor David Titley, a naval officer for 32 years and rose to the rank of Rear Admiral. The entire panel communicated the need for a balance of mitigation and adaptation in the years to come. You can view Before the Flood online at the National Geographic website.
Temperatures here in State College are on the shift into the more seasonable zone. We won't be seeing some of that cool air for our Friday into Saturday until the overnight hours, but you guys can leave that jacket at home for the duration of the weekend. Friday, we're going to see that cold front push off the East Coast, leaving us with some partly sunny skies and high pressure settling in into Saturday as well. We'll see some sunny skies. More clouds will start to build in during the day, but then it'll start to get clear as the night goes on, allowing our temperatures to drop into the low 30s. Sunday, high pressure again, temperatures rising into the mid 50s. A great day to get out and rake your leaves if you guys are willing to hit the outdoors. But Friday, mix of sun and clouds, low 50s, those beautiful sunny skies. But we will start to cool down as we go overnight into the low 30s. Still a starry night, a clear night to go out. But Saturday, we're going to see some seasonable sunnier conditions, so a little warmer for your Saturday. Temperatures are going to drop into the upper 40s as we go to our 7:30 p.m. kickoff against Iowa. Football game, clear and chilly, but temperatures will start to drop off as the night progresses, so into the low 30s there. But your Sunday, again, will warm up. Great day to get outside, some partly cloudy skies for your day on Sunday. Now we're going to go to a feature by Drew Narsutis on our great state.
Northwestern Pennsylvania, a land full of warm beaches in the summer, fantastic colors in the fall, and major snowstorms in the winter. This section of Pennsylvania really stands out compared to the others, boasting a top elevation out of the 5 PA locations, the top rain and snowfall rates out of the 5 PA locations, and the state's coolest temperatures during the winter.
Welcome to another great episode of Our Great State. I'm student meteorologist Drew Narsutis, and I'm currently in Erie, which is in the very northwest corner of Pennsylvania. This episode, we're going to be exploring northwestern Pennsylvania during peak fall colors. So let's gear up for another great episode of Our Great State.
Erie, Pennsylvania, the second snowiest city in the whole United States. Erie gets a whopping 101 inches of snow on average a year. This is more than double what State College receives. It's also one of the more mild locations during the winter and summer months compared to its surrounding locations. To understand what causes these abnormal temperatures and amounts of snow, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist and Penn State alumni Jeff Cornish.
The first thing people think about when it comes to Northwest Pennsylvania climate, even if they're not a weather buff, if they're just somebody on the street, is Lake Erie, and it plays a huge role in our local weather. We do average about 100 inches of snow in a typical year in the city of Erie, and that comes from the airport, which is only 1 mile from the lakeshore. You go up the hill, we gain about 100 feet per mile in elevation for the first 8 or 9 miles as you head inland. And the snow becomes even more impressive as you go up the hill. So there are parts of the area that average 180, 190 inches of snow in a typical year. But beyond snow, the lake impacts our weather in a big way. As we record this in late October, there probably are only about 2 parts of Pennsylvania that have not actually gotten down to freezing. The city of Philadelphia is an obvious one, but also the Erie Lakeshore. Lake Erie is still around 57 degrees in late October, and it really does prevent us from getting all that cold. Meanwhile, there are areas 2 counties east that have gotten down into the mid to upper 20s with no trouble a couple times already this month.
Attached to Erie, Pennsylvania is Presque Isle State Park, a sandy peninsula that juts into Lake Erie roughly 6.5 miles. This peninsula is used by Erie natives for a variety of activities such as swimming, boating, biking, and bird watching. An interesting fact about Presque Isle State Park is that it's constantly being reshaped by waves due to its sandy structure, so wave breakers were built along the beaches to keep the erosion to a minimum. If we want a change of scenery, but we also want to keep those large snow totals, all we have to do is head south to Pymatuning State Park. The Pymatuning Reservoir was formed in the 1930s when a dam on the Shenango River was built. Pymatuning Reservoir and its surrounding state park is located just west of Meadsville, which gets an incredible 99 inches of snow a year on average. And without Erie nearby to regulate summertime temperatures, Meadsville has the warmest summers of all northwestern Pennsylvania locations. Pymatuning is also the largest state park in Pennsylvania with 21,000 acres of land. To give you an idea of its size, the state park takes up the land of approximately 16,000 football fields. But if we head west, we find our final location, Allegheny National Forest, a whopping 400,000 football fields in size. However, due to the immense size of the forest, places just north such as Bradford get temperatures about 3 degrees below Brookville to the south. Finally, we reach Keesna Bridge just south of Bradford. Or, well, what's left of it. The once thriving Keesna Bridge was the fourth tallest bridge in the United States, standing 300 feet above the ground and spanning 2,000 feet across. However, in 2003, a tornado damaged the bridge, causing parts of it to collapse. The state park is now visited by thousands of people a month and holds the ruins of the tornado-stricken bridge. As for the climate of this region, Keesna Bridge and the nearby Bradford hold the record for the coldest location in Pennsylvania, with an average January low temperature of 12 degrees Fahrenheit.
There you have it, folks. Northwestern Pennsylvania, a land blooming with yellows, oranges, and reds in mid to late October. Be sure to join us next week when we cover southeastern Pennsylvania. Till then, this has been student meteorologist Drew Narsutis. See you next time.
Now, taking a look at our extended forecast for the weekend recap, we are seeing those beautiful partly sunny skies for the entire weekend. Seasonable and sunny for Friday, temperatures into the low 50s and dropping off into the 30s overnight. And then Saturday, a beautiful sun and cloudy day, and temperatures will go into the mid 50s. We're seeing those clouds start to build as the day goes on, but when we hit your game for the afternoon and evening hours, those clouds will start to clear out and temperatures will drop into the low 40s. Your Sunday, mostly sunny skies with 55 degrees as the temperature again dropping into the low 30s. The extended forecast looking warm for the start of the week. Monday and Tuesday, mainly sunny, temperatures above average, but then we start to sink to about the average and the temperature zone for this time of year by Wednesday, but that's when a slight chance of rain is in store. But Thursday and Friday, some beautiful conditions, mostly cloudy skies and temperatures sinking below the average.
Well, thanks for that forecast, Allie. Looks to be a nice mild weekend, especially for your game on Saturday.
Yes, a lot of that sunshine is going to bring some warmer temperatures throughout the days for the weekend, but overnight, expect temperatures to drop into the 40s, even 30s some nights. So if you're heading to the game on Saturday, definitely bring a light jacket.
Yeah, will do. And some more good news. Saturday night into Sunday, we get another extra hour of sleep. It's daylight saving.
Yes, it starts at 2 a.m. on Sunday, and you can get to rejuvenate after your long day of Saturday. And speaking of daylight saving time, let's get back to our Weather Whiz quiz.
Earlier in the show, we asked, which of the following states does not observe daylight savings time? Is it A, Virginia, B, Kansas, C, California, or D, Hawaii?
If you chose D, Hawaii, then you are correct. Due to Hawaii's tropical latitude, it does not experience the large variation in daylight like the lower 48 and Alaska do, so they don't turn their clocks back or spring forward for the fall or spring and fall.
Well, they don't get the extra hour that we do here.
Unfortunately, no.
Well, that's all the time we have here for Whether or Not. I'm your host, Ann Rodden.
And I'm your forecaster, Debicki. Have a great weekend.